What's up, everybody? We're outside of Salt Lake City, Utah, running some trails with the new BFG KM3s, and we're going to bring you an on-road and off-road review. So let's jump into all the details. So a few quick specs to get right out of the way. What we're running on our truck here is a 33 1250 17. So 33-inch tire that's a little bit wider than some of the standard 33s, but also a good fit for the F-150 and performs nicely. Now, the KM3 is a replacement for the previous generation, which was the KM2. And BFG made some big upgrades to really get some better performance out of this tire. The first big change that you're going to notice when you look at the KM3s is that obviously the main tread block design for the tire has changed from the KM2. BFG has made some adjustments to the actual shape of the tread and the siping to allow it to channel through mud and rocks a little bit more cleanly and also find some traction that it didn't previously have. And with that, it's also been redesigned to allow for a bit quieter performance on the road and just make it a little bit more daily drivable than the previous generation of mud terrain. While obviously those main tread blocks are a huge deal for the tire and that's where the majority of your traction comes from, BFG didn't skimp out and forget about the sidewalls, and in fact that's probably where they made some of the biggest changes. Some things you're going to notice are these alternating tread blocks that go along the sidewall, as well as the hook shape in that rubber that's going to allow for better traction when you really need it on the side of the tire, as well as better protection. Because obviously a sidewall is a bad place to get a puncture and that can cause a lot of issues, and if you're aired down off-road and running through difficult terrain, that's not something that you want to have to stress out about. This redesign is going to help prevent that. BFG even claims that this new sidewall design is 27% more durable than the previous generation, and it uses their CoreGuard Max technology to help prevent having issues with punctures and splitting in the sidewalls. On top of that, as I previously mentioned, airing down is a big deal when you're running mud terrains and you spend a lot of time off-road. So with a more durable sidewall and a tire that's designed like this, you can air down comfortably and know that you're still going to get the best performance possible and not have to risk the durability of the tire. So with all the details out of the way, now that we know a little bit about the KM3, let's talk about how it actually performs off-road when you throw it on a truck and really want to get it dirty. We've been driving for about 700 to 800 miles now, going from Phoenix up to Salt Lake City, Utah, and hitting different national parks and things along the way. We've had our fair share of basically every terrain you can think of. There's been some mud, there's been some hard-packed rock, shale, loose gravel, loose dirt, forest roads, washboards, basically anything you could possibly hit short of snow, and these have performed excellently. I did personally own the previous generation of KM2 and ran it on my truck for quite a while, and the performance was good, but the KM3 is even better. BFG's improvements really pay off when you get into difficult terrain. BFG obviously designed the KM3 with lots of off-road terrain in mind, so it's not really a surprise that it performs well in pretty much every condition that we've hit. But they did specifically try to improve it for tough rocky terrain and really muddy terrain, and that definitely is where this tire shines at its best. When you're trying to climb up, a really rough rocky trail and you're getting some of that shale and it's, biting and searching for traction, the tire doesn't really do a whole lot of searching. It might slip for a second, grab, catch, and you're not having to worry about losing that traction and slipping backwards. It just kind of keeps crawling, and even regardless of whether you're in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, the tires seem to just kind of find traction in unexpected places, which is very, very advantageous if you get yourself in a tricky situation, or if you're running with a slightly less capable vehicle, you can build some capability in by having a nice tire like this. As far as the new sidewalls are concerned, we didn't get into a whole lot of super technical situations. We were just crawling on the sidewalls of the truck, but we did have a chance to basically kind of squish them up against some rocks and flex them a bit and put a little bit of strain on there, and it seems like it performs exactly how BFG intended. There's not any concern that it's going to slip or that you're going to puncture anything, so you have some comfort in picking a slightly different line or using the sidewall to get you some extra traction that you previously wouldn't have with a tire that isn't designed like this. So with the off-road portion out of the way, let's talk about how these perform on the street. Now I will say with my time with the KM2s, that previous generation, they didn't perform super well on the road, and a lot of that can come down to the fact that obviously it is a mud terrain tire and they're not designed for long highway miles. So obviously there's some leeway there. That's not what this is built for. But I am happy to report that with my time I've spent on these, they are a big improvement over the KM2s on the road. Not only do they sound a little bit quieter and feel a little bit smoother, but they're still comfortable and perform off-road just as good. They didn't compromise that off-road capability for a better street ride, and not having to worry about some real bad vibration and awful droning is a nice thing to have. Especially when you have a nicer truck that you use for daily driving, you don't want to deal with a tire that makes it miserable on the road. With that being said, obviously the KM3s are not dead quiet. You know, whatever your factory highway tire is on your vehicle is probably going to be a lot quieter than a mud terrain. But if you're in the market for a mud terrain, this is going to be a really good option that still allows you to drive on the road and enjoy your vehicle. So that wraps up our review of these KM3 tires. If you guys want to pick up a set of these for your truck, we'll have some links in the description that you can check out, and we'll see you out on the trails.